Assam is much more than the outgoing laborers. It means that most of the Assamese people go outside in search of employment because the government of Assam has failed to provide the people adequate opportunity of job either in public or in private sectors. The laborers living here have no land of their own so that they might engage in agriculture. As regards industry, Assam is in a very pitiable state. So they are bound to go outside. While coming back over here, they have created an acute employment problem. Moreover, most of them have carried with them the disease and spread it here like anything. So influx has created not only economic problem but health problem also. On the contrary, quarantine has become a new phenomenon all over the world. People have been compelled to jump into a new condition of existence or a stable condition. They are incapable of meeting the challenge created by the disease. This is a period of juncture and they have found no way out. They were not accustomed formerly to this phenomenon. So this phenomenon has created new problem. Quarantine is another name of confinement, either voluntary or forced. Over and above, people are facing acute problem due to social distancing. They also did not face this problem in the past. So they have become restless due to both this phenomenon, confinement, social or physical distancing. Confinement has caused domestic problem also. Domestic problem and violence also. People have become irritated because they have been prevented from going to cinema, theater, etc. People have not able to take part in sports. Swimming pools are closed, sports are closed. So people are tired of staying at home. It becomes more dangerous when someone falls ill or someone dies because their works mostly remain outside and cannot come within. Moreover, hospital seats are also not available at present. People die without any treatment. In view of this perspective, economy has severely broken down at large. People are facing economic hardship. Industries are closed, markets are closed, tourism is collapsed. Especially, small shopkeepers are facing acute hardship. Their shops have remained closed. So, most affected people are daily wage laborers and small shopkeepers. Along with laborers and shopkeepers, other group of people mostly affected are students. All students have no provision for online teaching and learning. Our students are mostly belonging from rural and low-income group of people, so they cannot afford such type of education. In a country like India, in the backdrop of economic perspective, it is seen that poor become poorer, rich become richer. Hence, the government has no other alternative way in this regard within limited technological structure. Moreover, this time there will be a rush for admission in the educational institution of Assam because students will not be able to go outside this year for admission. This will be an acute problem and we will have to sit together to find out the ways and means for its solution. Similar cases seen in the context of ritualistic faith, tourist places, etc., which are connected with economic point of view. As we do not know when normalcy will return, we do not know what is waiting for us tomorrow. Tomorrow might be a fatal day for us. Yet, we must be courageous and fight with this deadly disease with all our minds. At the same time, it is my personal observation that our institution must have generated new localized multidimensional economic formation in order to rescue the institution in the days to come. We expect that our invited resource persons will be hopefully able to reflect various ramifications of this vital issue in order to organize some future course of perspective. Respected friends, anyway, I do not want to take my stand by delivering my speech. I believe from my core of my heart
what we have learned is a rare handful, and what we have to learn is as vast as the world. Besides, today I'm very fortunate because I'm able to share a humble group of academic edifice among the learned scholars of the state, those who are expert in multidimensional field of study. Hence, being a humble student of humanities, at last, conveying my sincere gratitude and thanks to each and everybody. Please permit me to conclude my welcome address. Again, which it's grand success of this webinar organized by our college for the first time in technological model in a limited areas. Thank you.
Thank you, Principal Sir. Principal Sir gave very brief account of problems created by this COVID-19 crisis. Thank you for his welcome address. And now, to inaugurate today's webinar, we had invited Professor Yogen Chandra Kalita sir. He is the former director of UGC HRDC Guwahati University, and he is very friendly to college. He also advises us our progressive works and basically advises us regarding our preparation for NEC assessment. Now, I request Professor Yogen Chandra Kalita sir to inaugurate this webinar with his valuable speech. Over to Yogen Chandra Kalita sir.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon, everyone. As I could understand that there were some technical problems, but now we could overcome it. I was very carefully listening to the speech of Dr. Anjan Soikia, Principal, Sinamora College, and he very rightly pointed out many of the issues related to today's seminar. I am very glad that Dr. Amarjyoti Mohanta, Head of Department of Economics, Dibrugarh University, will be here as the resource person, and Dr. Anil Kumar Soikia, former Vice Principal of Economics Department of Kakujan College, another resource person, and our young talent, our Bandana Chaudhuri. Dr. Bandana Chaudhuri is a faculty member and colleagues of mine at Economics Department, Guwahati University. So I am very happy to see the initiative of this Sinamora College. I am associated with this college for a long time, last I think 10, 12 years. And I could find that this college can do many of the things which others cannot. So today, as we have very little time, actually my time was up to 2:20, so it is already gone. But anyway, I am very happy to see the effort of IQAC. Dr. Ranju Kumar Borale, when he told me, immediately I asked him about the points that who will be the resource person, what will be the subject. Then he said this, and I found this as very relevant. And I thank the college authorities, the IQACs, the well-wishers, and all the resource persons for their kind consent to be with us this afternoon. As all of us we know, mainly that there are participants from various parts of India. When we talk about India's Northeast, it is a very strategic part of the world. And we know that we have many resources. And we also know that our human resources are there to mobilize, to regulate, to control, and to use it sustainably. So educated people and their ideas are most important resources today, because these ideas can bring about changes for prosperity, for security, and for well-being in the society. As Principal Dr. Soikia very rightly pointed out, what the pandemic has created, the greatest impact in our life, daily life, in the society, in education, and most importantly, in economics. So I feel that today's hot topic and tomorrow's will be economics. People should be interested towards economic issues, and the world will appear before us in a new economic order. So we have resource person to highlight how to energize the COVID-19 pandemic, this part of economics, as well as how to get rid of the greatest impact which is created on us. And I just want to mention very briefly in 1 or 2 minutes about what our interest should be, which areas should be our very prominent area right from now. I think agriculture should one of the very vital area together with the farming, because the food producing system in the entire world has been affecting greatly by this lockdown, pandemic, or whatsoever many reasons that we can see. So therefore, to talk about the agriculture and the resources available in the Northeast, and the people, those who are coming back from different states, because they were in Assam, they were going to different states, they are coming back to Assam, and they also need support. So therefore, at this moment, our people, the resourceful person, as I have mentioned, the highly educated people who are gathered today, they should give the ideas what we can do, what our government can do. Always we talk about government, the government should give support. I would like to appeal to all of us, give ideas and give important projects so that government can support, government can think on all these issues. And here, who should be the major players? With the number one, as I said, economists. Who are the economists? You, the participant, the resource person covering Dibrugarh University, Guwahati University, many prominent colleges of the state as well as of the country. You, together with the professors and very eminent scientists of Assam Agricultural University and many other agricultural colleges in the state, as well as the College of Veterinary Science, which is most important in the world today. So together with all of them, because when we do something alone, we can do so little. But if we do something together, we can do so much. So therefore, I am very happy to inaugurate this very important seminar today. Once again, I thank all the participants, all the resource person. Special thanks to IQAC, Dr. Ranju Kumar Borali, and also my regards to the principal, Dr. Anjan Soikia. He is like my brother for taking this sort of initiatives. In his lecture, he talked about students. So I want to request Dr. Soikia to do something specially for the student, how to take care of our future. Who will take care of our future? Mainly the students. So therefore, I am very happy, very specially to listen to the talk, welcome speech given by the principal, as well as seeing the all resource person. You are so prominent, and I will be online to hear this. So formally, I inaugurate the seminar. Thank you all.
Thank you, sir. Kolita sir always dear to us, always encourages us in our academic endeavor. And today in his inaugural speech, he put stress on the priority areas which will help in the development of our economy in this juncture. Thank you again, sir. And now it is over to those persons. So as you all know, our topic is re-energizing coveted economy of Assam. This COVID-19 crisis has hardly hit our economy, and therefore now we have to find ways and means we can re-energize our economy. And today we had three resource persons. The first resource person who will address us is Dr. Amarjyoti Manto. He is Associate Professor and Head, Department of Economics, Dibrugarh University. He is a very learned person and he will mainly focus on agriculture and rural economy and the problems of migrated labor. I request all the participants to put their questions in the chat box. Due to paucity of time, we will take one or two questions, and I request Amal Singh to look after the chat box. So now it is over to Amar Jyoti Bahanta sir.
Thank you. Good afternoon, all. I think I am audible to everyone.
Yeah.
Am I audible?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Very respected Principal Dr. Ranjan Saikia, Sinamura College, uh, esteemed Professor Jugen Kolita sir, who has kindly given his consent to inaugurate this webinar, uh, esteemed IQEC Sale of Sinamura College, Ranju Bharali, and my fellow panelists from Guwahati University, Dr. Vandana Chaudhuri, and from Kakojan College, Dr. Anil Shoikia. Very esteemed participants joining from different parts of the country, I assume. Uh, Good afternoon to all. By now, everyone has understood what COVID-19 is and how dangerously it has affected our life, our economy. As per the statistics that I have got into today morning in the newspaper, worldwide 92 lakh 72,935 persons have been affected by COVID-19, and as many as 4 lakh 76,601 persons have died so far in the world as a whole. And in India, the statistics show 4 lakh 55,859 persons have been affected, and 14,483 persons have died. And in Assam, it has just crossed 6,000 mark. So all these statistics show how dangerously it has, it has got transmitted to many sections of the society, many areas of the society. COVID-19 is not as simple as any other health problem, any other health crisis. It is not only a health problem, it is also a socio-economic problem. Why it is? Because the nature of the disease is so different, that it is so contagious that it spreads to many persons like anything. Any person who has been infected by COVID-19, if he comes across many persons, then so many persons can be infected by one only infected person. That means an infected person can produce a chain of infected persons network. So that is why it is so contagious, and that is why we need a series of actions to contain the transmission of the disease. And these actions are self-isolation, then social distancing, closure of institutes, closure of public places, restrictions on movement, so on and so forth. So ultimately, a country may go for a nationwide lockdown. So these preventive measures are highly suggestive and highly required. But at the same time, these measures have created a havoc. I mean, these measures have created a lot of problems in our day-to-day life. Our economy has been affected. Uh, actually, United Nations framework for the intermediate socio-economic response to the COVID-19 has stated, it has actually warned that the COVID-19 pandemic is far more than a health crisis. It is affecting societies and economics at their core. So United Nations has already said that it is not simply a health problem, rather it has gone a bit more, a step more than a health problem. So to this COVID-19 pandemic has very significantly affected the life, the economy over the world. And India is not an exception to this pandemic also. Actually, in India, uh, I have one presentation also. I think this presentation is viewable to everyone. Okay, so the United Nations have already said
Yes,
that
sir.
this
Yes, sir.
is this is not only a health problem. Beyond health problem, it has become a socio-economic problem. It has already been accepted. Now, the COVID-19, this problem has emerged in Indian economy at a wrong time. Why I'm saying is that prior to COVID-19, the Indian economy was not doing well. GDP was falling. There was a heavy, generation of unemployment. So Indian economy was not doing well because of some monetary measures that the government of India took, and some fiscal measures were also responsible for this downturn. But this COVID created downturn is a bit different from the pre-COVID downturn. Actually, what happened in the pre-COVID downturn, there was fall in the aggregate demand. But in the COVID created downturn, what we have seen that there is not only fall in aggregate demand, but there is problem in the supply side as well. Production bottlenecks are there, distribution bottlenecks are there. So both demand and supply side of the market forces are affected because of this COVID-19. Rise and fall in economic activities are not uncommon to any economy. Every economy has to pass by these cyclical fluctuations. But the theories of economics teach us what that the um, a downturn is basically created by the fall in aggregate demand comprising of public expenditure, comprising of consumption expenditure, and comprising of private investment expenditure. So in a pre-COVID-19 situation, public expenditure, the entire total expenditure reduced, so aggregate demand side was reducing. But in the COVID-related situation, there is, as I have already mentioned, there is not only fall in aggregate demand, there is serious bottlenecks in the production and distribution networks. So the problem of the Indian economy that it was experiencing prior to COVID-19 has been, exaggerated, aggravated by this by the COVID-19 pandemic. Uh, uh, but majority of the discussion that has been made over the impact of COVID-19 in the economy, majority of the discussion has been made from the urban perspectives. Very less discussion has been made in terms of the rural economy. But in India is basically a rural economy. So uh, rural economy cannot be set aside while explaining the impact of COVID-19, because as many as 68.85% of the total Indian population live in the rural area. And it has been proved by different studies that agriculture sector has played a very important role in reducing rural poverty. Even in the situation when the industry sector, service sector, these sectors are doing well, even in that situation, agriculture has remained the mainstay of the Indian economy because it provides employment opportunities to lot many people. Uh, but agriculture dependent livelihood is a bit risky. It is not sustainable because the agriculture sector in India is affected by so many threats, so many risks, starting from natural adversities to the market, created forces. Like say, there is flood problem. It is quite, frequent in Assam. There is the problem of soil erosion. There is drought. Then there is difficulties in the distribution of the agricultural goods. There is volatility in the prices of the agricultural goods. So many problems are there in the agriculture sector, and that is why the agriculture sector has become a bit risky. So agriculture dependent livelihood has become a bit unsustainable, and that is why we have seen there is continuous withdrawal of labor from the agriculture sector. But this COVID-created situation has actually led to more, different kinds of problem in the agriculture sector. I will be touching upon some of the factors, but firstly, see, it has been already said by different rating agencies, different international bodies, that Indian economy is affected by the COVID-19. It has been said that GDP growth will be slowed down, there will be massive unemployment, there will be low profits, and that is why private investment expenditure is likely to fall. There will be salary cuts. As the unemployment has gone up, therefore poverty will increase, inequality will increase, production, investment, income, employment, all these will fall, and ultimately growth rate of the economy will fall. IMF projects that the growth rate of Indian economy, which was 4.2% in 2019, will fall to 1.9% in 2020. Then uh, another projection actually has said that it would fall to 1.2% level. CMI has also estimated that the unemployment rate in Assam, which was 8.4% in 2019, will go up to 21.1% in 2020. So this has showed how big the COVID-19 problem is going to be for the Indian economy. Uh, so I will now talk about some of the effects on the rural economy. Uh, First of all, the COVID-19 has disrupted entire supply chain in the agricultural produce. Agricultural goods are perishable, and our farmers do not have cold storage. We do not have warehouse facilities. In Assam, we have hardly 9-10 cold storage, and out of these 9-10 cold storages, all are not even functional. So that is why the farmers cannot store their agricultural goods which are perishable for a long period of time. And government of India rightly took some of the steps by relaxing the lockdown guidelines, particularly for transportation of agricultural goods. But not many more number transporters came up to transport the goods from the farms to different markets, and therefore there was delay in the delivery of the agricultural goods, and that is why many farmers have suffered their agricultural goods damage within the farm. Secondly, there is a fall in the demand for agricultural goods, and this is because of the closure of the markets. Markets in the urban areas were closed, rural huts were closed, and hotels, restaurants, all these were closed. That is why the agricultural goods could not be sold. So many goods remained unsold in the farm, and therefore there was loss of farmer income, and this increased the poverty, the misery of the agricultural goods producers. Farmers were affected. Then there was delay in the agricultural operation, and particularly this is because of the unavailability of labor, unavailability of branded seeds, fertilizers, machineries, medicines for crop protection. And as a result of these, agricultural operations could not be taken at right time. March, April, these 2 months are said to be the peak season for harvesting of Rabi crops. But at that time, COVID emerged. So many producers across the country, including Assam, were affected because of this closure. And nextly, there is the possibility of indebtedness of the rural farmers, because many rural farmers take up their agricultural operations by taking loans from institutional or non-institutional sources. Government of India can address the issues, particularly in case of their credit loans and all these, which they have taken from the institutional sources. But most of the rural farmers take loans from the non-institutional sources. So these people are all likely to be indebted. Then there is loss of employment in the rural areas because of the restriction on movement. People didn't get enough employment, and many persons in the rural area work as agricultural workers. So these landless agricultural workers have become jobless because of the COVID-19 created situation. Employment under the MGNREGA was also affected in the early part of the crisis. Now, government has taken many steps to, restart the operations or activities under MGNREGA. Then the export has reduced due to the disturbance in the supply chain. Another effect that the agriculture sector has seen, that the food processing industry is affected because of the closure of the market, because of the restrictions on movement, because of the transportation problem. Food processing industries were highly affected. Another group of people who earn their livelihood are the livestock producers and suppliers. Many young people, youths, even in the rural areas of Assam, we can see that lot many people are involved in the production and supply of livestock, but they are hit very hard. Why? Because hospitality and tourism sectors have been hit. Therefore, there was no demand for this kind of livestock. To hotels, restaurants, all these were closed. That is why demand reduced. And at the same time, there was also a rumor that COVID-19 will spread through these livestock. That also reduced the demand for these livestock in our market. Then milk producers, they are also hit hard. So many milk producers we have seen that they have dumped their milk in the drains. Of course, as of now, these relaxations have been given to the restaurants and all these, but I think that we will require some time to have a pickup in demand. Then another thing, the small industries, business, trade, shops, these are immensely affected because the reasons I have already mentioned quite a time, that there was markets were closed, transportation problems were there, and restriction on movement was there. And that is why, despite giving employment either directly or indirectly to a lot of persons, these sectors have been greatly affected because of the shutdown. And now many persons who were engaged in these small industries, business, trade, shops, commerce, these have become jobless. And these jobless situation has given rise to another situation, that is what the problem of reverse migration. But before that, before coming to the problem of reverse migration, I'd like to just hint one good thing, a cheerful thing that the economy of Assam, agricultural economy of Assam, can expect. See, the COVID-19 created situation actually has taught us that we should always give importance to the agriculture sector. Those the people who have become jobless, they have started their agricultural operation at home. They have started to produce crops, vegetables, all these things, even to meet their domestic needs. And some of them have even again taken up all these activities on commercial basis. So the need of self-reliance is understood. Therefore, there is increasing participation of the rural youth in agricultural, in farming activities. Another thing, many persons previously migrated out of the rural area, villages to urban areas. Now these people have come back. So if we can use their service, if these rural youths can be encouraged to participate in agricultural activities, I think then it would be a great boost to the agriculture sector of the some economy. And for that, rural youths have to be convinced that they can get a remunerative income, a high income from the agriculture sector. And for that reason, the risk that the agriculture sector has been facing has to be addressed. Now, the problem of reverse migration. Now, who is a migrant? The migrant is a person who has moved from one definite geographical area to another definite geographical area by changing the usual place of residence. So, if a person moves from place A to place B by changing his usual place of residence, then we can call that person as a migrant. Now, why migration takes place? What are the reasons? Basically, we can categorize these reasons for migration as pull factors and push factors. Push factors are those which throw people out of a particular place, and pull factors are those factors which attract a person to live in a particular place. Among different pull factors, one prominent pull factor is the better opportunities to have income, better opportunities to have work, employment. And that is why lot many persons from rural area migrate to urban areas. So the problem of reverse migration, I mean the issue of reverse migration is basically in the anticipation of a higher income in the urban area. That is why people from rural area migrate to the urban areas. Now, who are migrant workers? These people who have migrated to some other place in search of better employment opportunities, better work, or better income. Those streams of migration we can divide into 4 types: rural to rural, rural to urban, urban to urban, and the 4th one is urban to rural. Now, the first, it is from rural to urban area people migrate, right? And now COVID created situation has made so many people, thousands and thousands of people jobless, workless, incomeless. That is why those people who already migrated from rural area to urban area, they have decided to take the toil of walking or into using any other means, to come back to home. So these persons have migrated back from urban area to rural area. So this is what we call as reverse migration. So reverse migration is the migration of the persons from a place to a place where he previously resided. So these persons are migrated persons. So migration has many effects on both place of origin and place of destination. I would just like to highlight some of the important points. So many consequences of migration are there on both place of origin and place of destination. People who have migrated from rural area to urban area, they are very handy for the persons living in their place of origin, I mean in the rural area, because they give income to the persons living back home at rural area. So this is the source of their income, this is the source of their consumption, and a part of that remittance is also saved. So in that way, migrant workers are helping the place of origin, and a significant percentage of the rural population has got employment opportunity in the urban area. So employment is also created through this process of migration. At the same time, migrants also help in the place of destination. In this case, the urban area. Urban areas are also benefited from this migration. How? Because these migrants workers provide low-cost labor, which is very helpful for the growth of the urban sector, manufacturing sector, construction sector. All these informal sectors are benefited by this migration. But the irony is that the migrants workers, they do not know that how they are benefited, and that is why they even for a low job, they go on working in the urban areas. Now this reverse migration has created a lot of problems. Migrants workers who have migrated back to home, they will not get immediate job, right? Basically, in the rural area, people look into the agriculture and allied sector to have employment. So these people who have migrated back from urban area to rural area, they are not going to have immediate employment opportunities at home in their villages. So there will be a joblessness situation in the rural area. Nextly, uh, they will basically eye in the agriculture sector. The agriculture sector is already overburdened. There will be the problem of disguised unemployment. Nextly, fragmentation of land holding. That problem may come up because already they have gone out of their rural area. Some other fellow members of their family are undertaking the agricultural operations at home, but now they have come back. So now there may be chances, and this has happened in many parts of the country, that there will be fragmentation of land holding, and with that, agricultural productivity is likely to fall because modern means of agriculture, modern technology cannot be applied in the small land holdings. So social tensions may also come up because of this fragmentation of land holding. Then the urban sector will be greatly affected because of this reverse migration. Why? Because production of the manufacturing sector will be adversely affected because, as I said, that urban sector is very much benefited by the low-cost laborers moving from rural to urban area. Now these persons have moved back to the rural area. Therefore, there will be scarcity of workers in the urban area. Therefore, manufacturing sector and entire urban sector, entire informal sector is going to be affected by this reverse migration. Then, lastly, what is the way out? Theories of economics says that whenever there is a downturn, we need to increase the volume of public expenditure. In terms of the language of economics, C plus I plus Z, that has to be raised. So government expenditure has to go up because government expenditure can induce the private consumption expenditure. So if Z in the consumption in the entire equation C plus I plus Z, in that if Z goes up, then it will also induce the private consumption expenditure C, and that induced private consumption expenditure C will also induce private investment expenditure I. So that is why the great economist Keynes, he talked about giving emphasis on government expenditure, because once government expenditure is raised, then it will also increase consumption and investment expenditure. So the government has to now take up different development projects. In the case of Assam, rural road infrastructure has to be built up. I mean, it has to be strengthened. Then investment in long-term assets like education, like health, has to be made. Health sector has to be given emphasis. Actually, this COVID-19 has taught us that government has to spend a significant percent of its total GDP, or in case of NSD state, it is NSDP, in the health sector, because government health facilities are the saver of the last resort, right? That is why I think more expenditure has to be made in the healthcare infrastructure. As of now, I think just less than 2% of the GDP of India is invested in the health sector. It has to be increased tremendously. Then self-help groups can be encouraged to participate in different productive activities like production of face masks, hand sanitizers. These things can be done at the grassroots level through some self-help groups. Then agriculture sector has to be secured against all adversities. These adversities may be natural adversities or maybe market related adversities. These adversities have to be, taken care of. This agricultural risk have to be, taken care of. Only then the rural youth will come up and they will come to participate in economic activities, agricultural activities. Then employment generation. This is very essential because lot many people have lost their life. Lost their job. There is loss of income, and that has reduced the aggregate demand, creating more problems in the economy. Therefore, employment has to be created by the government. And once we can speed up the consumption expenditure by creating more and more employment opportunities, I think market will take care of its own, because Assam has more than 3 crores of population. So we have a huge market. So once we can re-energize our market system, we can provide an incentive to the market operations, then I think the COVID created situations will go over within short period of time. If we fail to address these issues, then I think we will not have a V-type shape of the trade cycle. If the issues are addressed, then we can have a V-type shape of the trade cycle. Then micro and small industries have to be given importance. Then lastly, MGNREGA. Government has given importance on MGNREGA scheme. Is very good that ways under MGNREGA has also increased, but now the problem lies in the implementation. We have to have proper vision, proper plans, proper execution of all.
Sir, please conclude, sir.
I think MGNREGA can give some sort of support to the rural population. So I think time is running by. So I would like to conclude here, and I once again would like to thank Sinamara College for giving me this opportunity to participate in this webinar. I also congratulate them for organizing this webinar, and thank for choosing this very important issue. Once again, I thank for making me a part of this webinar. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Mahanta sir rightly said COVID-19 is far from a health problem. Rather, it is also economic problem. He made a difference between pre-COVID downturn of the economy and COVID downturn of the economy. In his deliberation, he focused on agriculture, rural economy, also focused on the way out through which the rural economy can come out from this crisis. Thank you very much, sir. You gave a very nice presentation, and your presentation has definitely enriched us, and which will help in the further policy making process in energizing the economy. Thank you, sir. So now I request Mrs. Bandana Chaudhary, Madam, Assistant Professor, Department of Economics, Guwahati University, to deliver his presentation. She will focus on tourism and hospitality industry. As we all know, that COVID-19 crisis has a very hard hit on tourism and hospitality industry. Madam will focus on this sector, and she will tell about the ways and means to revive this sector. Please, this is over to Bandana Chaudhary, Madam.
Thank you so much, Ranju Bhorali, sir. Respected Principal Sir, Sinamara College, Dr. Anjan Saikia, my esteemed colleague, Professor Jogen Kolita, former Director UGC HRDC, and respected panelist, Dr. Amarjyoti Mohanto, Head Department of Economics, Dibrugarh University, and respected Dr. Anil Kumar Soikia, sir, retired Vice Principal and Head Economics, Kakojan College, and other faculty members here, and my dear student friends. It gives me immense pleasure and privilege to be a part of today's webinar. Special thanks to Dr. Ranju Bharali and IQAC, Sinamora College, for giving me this opportunity today. So without, at the outset, like Omorjyoti Mohanto sir has already focused on a lot of diverse issues, but as I was asked to speak, only focusing on tourism and hospitality management part. So how do we re-energize the COVID hit tourism economy in Assam? So without wasting much time on what is COVID and all, so let me come to the point. There has been rapid emergence of COVID-19, and this has made the wanted tourism growth trajectories of the last decade very fragile and redundant. And the tourism sector, which rose in prominence in Assam from 2017 to 19, a huge spurt had begun. But due to this pandemic, there's a deafening silence as tourists have started to decrease. So a return to pre-pandemic growth patterns will take time. And so we have to be really patient for that. And it will depend on the depth and extent of the recession sparked by COVID-19. So the present situation in Assam, we had international arrivals of more than 25,000 people, tourists in 2019 and over 31,000 in 2018. Even the influx of domestic tourists were 47 lakhs in 2019 and 59 lakhs in 2018. So basically, there has been a long-term evolution of tourism, which demonstrates a prolific dependence with a decade of growth since the global financial crisis. This latest period of unfettered tourism development has come to an abrupt end as the impact of COVID-19 has brought the sector to an almost standstill. So as we know, tourism is a complex system which consists of multiplex networks. So tourism will depend on travel, will depend on hospitality management. And this means that millions of components interact with each other in a global interwoven network of local networks in various layers. Tourism is especially susceptible to measures to counteract pandemics because of restricted mobility and social distancing. So two important factors. COVID has done restriction of mobility of people moving around, and there has to be social distancing. Also, there are relationships which show that pandemics and travel are related to each other. So health security and global change are two important factors. Now, the crux of the matter is that Assam tourism industry, to thrive in a future world, what it must do. So it must at first look beyond the temptation of adopting strategies based on a return to the normal of the past, and instead seek to understand how it should respond to the future transformation of global economy. COVID-19 crisis should be thus seen as an opportunity to critically reconsider tourism's growth trajectory and to question the logic of more arrivals, greater benefit. So there has to be role of experts. They have to give us suggestions like how to deal with the situation, which is essential for long-term organization survival. And there has to be transformation. So we have to be willing to have the change. Change will cause disruption in the economy. It may not be very smooth, but we have to be ready for the transformation. And another important factor is that leadership. So to re-establish a sense of normalcy, we have to have some leaders. So maybe here it's the government who's leading us. So let me talk now about what is the future of tourism in Assam. So firstly, we have to encourage in-state tourism, and we have to focus more on domestic and regional tourism. Now, since country borders are sealed, only citizens are allowed to come. There has to be more focus on regional, intrastate or intercity travel. Also, coming to accommodation, many hotels are used as quarantine centers, and we have to make sure that rooms are safe for newly arriving guests. Also, the hotel industry or the tourism industry, hospitality management industry are great sufferers. So we have to give them a universal basic income so that they should no longer feel that they are not receiving a living wage, or they do not have the secure conditions for the hard work they have put in all these years. So significant efforts must be made. Also, their focus should be given on local communities. So local tourism has to be prominent more. The public must be properly consulted on the forms of tourism that are developed in the community according to the process that they identify. Also, new cleaning practices have to be adopted, like how business operates to ensure safety for their customers and employees. Also, there has to be there is decrease in business travel. So like business travels, people used to travel a lot, but nowadays Zoom meetings have become the new norm. So like we are having a Zoom thing, or maybe we had to go to travel to Sinamora College to listen to all the panelists and have a knowledge about this stuff. So we are doing it sitting in our homes. The travel cost has decreased, and a significant proportion of companies are actively seeking to reduce business travel and to cut the number of employees commuting even to the workplace. So what is necessary and required, they are just fitting in those people. Mega events will become less attractive. Like recently, the film fair was held. IPL matches were held in Assam. So in the very recent in the future, these will become less attractive. We'll have less group travels. We'll have less leisure travels because there is uncertainty due to shut borders, no grounded flights, job losses, recessionary economy, uncertain school terms. So holiday now seem to be a distant frontier for now. Also, more road trips will be held because people would like to go to near city, or maybe they would like to visit their own hometowns rather than going to some other country like Europe or USA. They would like to take less risk and be more safe. Also, another important thing that will drop is religious tourism. Assam is famous for its religious tourism, like the Kamakya visit. The ongoing Ambubachi Mela, we hardly can feel any Ambubachi Mela going on. This is because of the COVID-19 impact. Also, Shivodul visit, people are now afraid to travel and all. So religious tourism will drop. Excursions of students will be lesser because it's not about affordability anymore. It is the main focus is safety. So just to wrap it up, the five key factors in the overall travel scenario that will drive all these above trends are: number one, safety. Both perception and reality will matter. Health, government may introduce mandatory checks. Hygiene, there will be no compromise on this. Brands, so those hotels or those airlines where brands, like, we are very sure of their quality assurance is there, we will go for those and they will win. And also value, so good value for money will be the new mantra. So just to summarize, I would say that tourism in Assam is on a standby right now with a pent up desire to bounce back. So definitely it will bounce back at the earliest possible opportunity. And the mantra here is copability rather than capability. So we have to adjust ourselves for a long and slow recovery. So we have to cope ourselves rather than it's not about that we can go or we should go or we have the money, so we need to go to some place, we should spend it, nothing like that. We have to cope up with the current situation. So my ending lines: in the COVID-19 pandemic, it is the ability to cope with change and cope with the new normal that will help tourism to sustain and in a new direction. So thank you so much.
Thank you, madam. Madam gave a very nice presentation. She focused on how the tourism sector is affected by this COVID-19 crisis, basically the tourism of Assam, how the tourist decreased throughout these days due to lockdown, she said in her deliberation, and she put stress on the in-state tourism, that is inter-district tourism, as one of the measures to revive tourism industry of our state. And in the end, she rightly said that the main mantra of revival is copability rather than capability. Thank you, madam, I think the participants will have many questions, but if time permits, we will take few questions after completion of our session from the chat box. And now
Thank you, Dr. Bharali.
it is to Anil Hoikia sir. He is the principal, retired vice principal and head of the Department of Economics, Kakojan College. And Soikia sir will put stress on the trade and commerce and micro and small enterprise. So now it is over to Soikia sir to give his declaration.
Thank you. আবেলি নমস্কাৰ সকলোকে জনাইছো এইখন যিখন ৱেবিনাৰ সেমিনাৰ হৈছে ৱেবিনাৰ সকলো উপস্থিতি
নমস্কাৰ স্যাৰ
হেল্ল' হেল্ল'
শুনি আছো
ঠিক আছে কম মই ইংৰাজীত কম কিন্তু মই অসমীয়াত কৰিছো বেয়া হোৱা নাইতো thank you my topic is very interesting but I read out this my paper very briefly the year of 2020 has been pretty hard for everyone today the entire world is suffering because of the global COVID-19 pandemic while we see hundreds and thousands of deaths because of this disease globally. What terrifies us more to see a global economic meltdown. The world is going through a phase of extreme recession, and the future seems to be uncertain for many. The slowdown has severely impacted the livelihoods of many, irrespective of the sector. Most trades have been crashed directly or indirectly, resulting in huge losses. The economic impact of 2020 coronavirus pandemic in India has been largely distributed. India growth in the fourth quarter of the fiscal year 2020 went down to 3.1%. The chief economic advisor to the government of India said this drop is mainly due to coronavirus pandemic effect on Indian economy. Notable, India had also been witnessed a pre-pandemic slowdown. And according to the World Bank, the current pandemic has magnified pre-existing risks to India's economic outlook. Outcome of COVID pandemic like this, a sharp rise in unemployment, stretch on supply chains, decrease in government income, collapse of tourism activities, reduced consumption activity, collapse of hospitality industry, plunge in fuel consumption, rise in LPG sales, MSMEs industries are heavily affected. One of the major issues in today India is the unemployment generation of the migrated returning to their native places. The relocating of people working in cities and towns to their village has created a lot of speculation over the few days. A section of experts has been expressed as an opportunity to revive the dying village small-scale industries. Within the month, unemployment rose from 6.7% on 15 March to 26 on 19 April. During the lockdown, an estimated 14 crore people lost employment while salaries were cut for many others. More than 45% of households across the nation have reported an income drop as compared to the previous year. The Indian economy was expected to lose over 32,000 crore every day during first 25 days of completed lockdown, which was declared following the coronavirus outbreak. Less than a quarter of India, 2.8 8 trillion economic movement was functional. Up to 53% of business in the country were protected to be significantly affected. Just emerging the MSC's ecosystem. Reduced interest rates, less collateral, and improved access to credit will give a boost to the MSME sector. India's micro, small, and medium enterprises (MSMEs) sector, known as the engine of growth, contributes 31% of its GDP, 45% export, employs over 124 million people, and creates nearly 1.3 million jobs every year. The entrepreneurial growth and development may contribute are not restricted to urban area only. Of the 55.8 million MSMEs, that is 59% are based in rural India. But the absence of adequate and timely bank finance, the high cost of credit, non-availability of suitable technology, and over-regulation impede the growth sector. Among the above constraints, the ability of finance and financing cost are the two key factors that directly impact the growth and survival of manufacturing and services MSMEs. As per Indian Finance Commission report 2018, the overall finance demand by MSMEs is estimated to be about 87.7 lakhs crore, of which about 69.3 is estimated to be about 69.3 lakhs crore is the debt requirement. Of this, about 48.5 lakhs crore is required for working capital, and 20.8 lakhs crore is capex investment required for fixed assets. Assam MSMEs unit contributes 39% of state GDP. Assam has been losing around rupees 1,000 crore every day due to COVID-19 induced lockdown. Migrant workers returning to Assam should be trained to develop their skill and absorb in the MSME sector. Terming the rupees 20 lakhs crore specially financial package announced by the center may be a game changer, and around 24 lakhs people in over 1 lakhs MSMEs in the state will be benefited from it. This package may be changed the current economic scenario of the country towards growth. The center and the state are facing huge problem due to halt in economic activities on account of the lockdown. In Assam, 99.9% of the industries are MSMEs, which contributes 39% of the state GDP. The central government announced a rupees 5.94 crore package, including rupees 3 lakhs crore collateral-free automatic loans to both MSMEs. Around 2,006 units of the state will be benefited from the fund announced for stretch units by the center as a part of package. A subordinate debt rupees 20,000 crore for stretch units, a fund of funds for equity infusion of rupees 50,000 crore, and revision in the definition of MSMEs recover from disruption caused by the lockdown. It is very needful steps for Assam is that center should be declared Assam as a investment destination for the foreign companies will to come invest in India after COVID-19 situation eases. Interest-free working capital, wage payment support, further extension of 3 months loans moratorium, deadline relief of GST payment and credit guarantees, These are some measures that are being finalized by the central government and RBI to provide relief to MSMEs hit by the COVID-19 pandemic in London. The MSMEs have been severely hit by the over-month-long countrywide lockdown and forced 25 March 2020 to curtail the spread COVID-19. Many small firms have been forced to shut down, leaving multitudes without any job or source of income. According to the 73rd NSS conducted during 2015-16, very important, there were an estimate 6.3 crore in unincorporated non-agricultural MSMEs in the country engaged different economic activities, creating 11.10 crore jobs in rural and urban areas. Another problem the government is grappling with is facilitating high credit flows to the MSME sector. But banks are worried the loans that they give will become NPA. The government also see possible helpline in the Credit Guarantee Fund Trust for micro and small enterprises to allay the fund flow problem. The trust fund was envisaged to encourage banks to lend without fearing default. The hitch is that the corpus currently has only 10,000 crore, which is likely to be insufficient. In the 1920 fiscal, the government gave credit guarantee over 45,000 crore to micro and small enterprises when there was no COVID-19 outbreak. Now, the requirement will be many times more. Just unemployment, educated unemployment, I'm going to say. Assam's unemployment rate hit a 19-month high of 11.1% in April 2020, according to survey conducted by the Center for Monitoring Indian Economy. Over a long period, unemployment has moved from 0.7% in April 2016 to its current rate. Unemployment in Assam was less than the national rate of 23.5%. Assam educated unemployment stands 17 lakhs as per a data provided in Assembly on December 19, 2019. Hence, the youth of Assam are keeping no stone unturned.
Sir,
to grab-
please conclude, sir.
Oh, yes. That's I'm going to conclude on my, okay. Last, not least, this is my conclusion and my some comments, okay. It may recall that about a year, along with the rest of India, Assam was marked a rapid economic slowdown with the financial health of the state nose driving towards the rock bottom. The outcome being loss of jobs, growing unemployment, and the like, which working class bearing the brutal burn. Needless to say that skyrocketing corruption, which virtually constitute the order of the day, only serve as a catalytic in accelerating economic slowdown. With the state economy trapped in a long back tunnel, dark tunnel with no light at the other end, and much need national lockdown in the fight against COVID-19 come into force. All trade and commerces and other economic activities come to a grinding halt. My last paragraph. With the state economy in a shambles, it may be catastrophic of all theories, logic, calculation, permutations, expert views at all in the preparation of the new economic roadmap failed to coverage to the single point from where reconstruction of the economy may begin while simultaneously confronting COVID-19 and several waves of flood devastation effectively. The question of crisis, if at end of the day, all the good work done by the health department hitherto in the fight against COVID-19 would go down the drain because of the frightening economic stagnation. One shudders at the thought if the impending flood would cause COVID-19 to emerge as a much powerful killer virus. Thank you all.
Thank you very much, sir. Anil Khaikia sir gave a very nice deliberation on the overall impact of COVID-19 crisis, with special emphasis on micro and small enterprises, in commerce, and basically employment problem. Basically, he gave importance to these sectors, and definitely his deliberation will enrich us. Thank you again, sir. So now we came to the conclusion of the webinar. We know that many participants have many questions, but due to paucity of time, due to shortage of time, we are very sorry that we cannot take questions because we begin late. So I beg your pardon. So we cannot take your questions today, but I will request Mohanto sir and Bandana Chaudhary madam to share their slides, so that we can share with their participants. So now it is a time for vote of thanks. First of all, I thank Professor Jagan Chandra Kalita sir. As I told you earlier, that is very dear to us, always encourages us in our academic endeavor. In spite of his busy schedule, he gave us valuable time and gave a very nice inaugural. Thank you, sir. Then I give my vote of thanks to our principal, Dr. Anjan Saikia. He is a very dynamic leader of this dynamic institution, and his dynamic leadership has brought this prestigious institution to this level. And now I thank him for his welcome address. Now I thank Dr. Amarjyoti Mahanto, head of the Department of Economics of Dibrugarh University. He is a very busy man. In spite of his busy schedule, he gave us the time and he gave a very nice deliberation, basically focusing on agriculture, rural economy, and migrated labor. And obviously, his deliberation will enlighten us and energize us. Thank you, sir. Then I offer my vote of thanks to Dr. Saikia sir. He is also a very busy man, in spite, although he is retired, but he is very busy in social activities. In spite of his busy schedule in social activities, he gave time, and today he gave a very nice deliberation on the overall impact of COVID-19 on the economy of Assam, basically putting stress on trade and commerce and employment. Thank you again, sir. And at last, I thank Mrs. Bandana Chaudhary madam. She gave a very, very nice presentation on tourism and hospitality industry. And we know that COVID-19 crisis have hit hard this sector, and Assam, most of the people are engaged in this sector, but this sector is very hard hit by this COVID-19 crisis. And Madam, in her deliberation, gave a very nice presentation, and she gave ways and means to revive economy from this crisis. And at last, I thank all participants without whom this webinar would not have been successful. And I beg their pardon because I cannot take two questions. So, but at last, I thanks them because without them, this webinar would not have been possible. Thanks again. Now, one thing I would like to tell that we'll give feedback form to the participants in their mail ID and WhatsApp group tomorrow. You fill up this feedback form for your submission. Thank you again.